talking about the denim.
Hello, all. Good afternoon from Ra Foundation's office. It is such a pleasure to be back, coming live from our office, talking about our work, talking about behind the scenes. But yes, we are doing this because there is an occasion. There is a reason why we are coming live today. Tomorrow is 30th of January 2021. Exactly 10 years ago, that is 30th of January 2011, we registered Ra Foundation, and a passion, a desire, an idea took birth exactly 10 years ago. And tomorrow, we will celebrate 10 years of our existence. And this is such a unique occasion for us, because our desire, our passion, what we wanted to do is now a 10-year-old amazing organization with some amazing people, and we have been able to impact over 30,000 tribals through our integrated tribal development model. We work on water, we work on agriculture, we work on women empowerment, we work on health, environment. And one of the activities that all of us are very passionate about, and I think because of which a lot of our followers on Ra Foundation Facebook page has have kind of they can resonate with us, is because of our work on tribal art revival. Today we thought we'll primarily talk about our tribal art revival program, as to why we started, how we started, what are the challenges we face while working on tribal art revival, and how do we communicate with the artisans and everything that goes on behind the scenes. And that's the reason why we are live today. It's a very, very satisfying work, no doubt about it. But there is a huge chain of events before that one Varli product which you have so fondly bought happens, or it is out in the market. A lot of things happen before that. So today we are going to talk about everything behind the scenes. Before that, let me just talk a little bit about why did we start this Varli Art Revival program. As I have mentioned many times in my past live sessions, that a chance visit to Jawar Mokhada really got us hooked on to the area, and we decided to become a tribal focused organization, working for the tribals, working on the tribal problems, working to resolve the tribal problems, working to create a better world for the tribals, working to enable them to lead a life of dignity without having to migrate and work on construction sites. And when we started working there, we saw the pathetic condition of the tribal artisans. How they were living, and the sad situation they were in. They were so talented. They had such amazing skill sets. They were all born artisans. Varli art is there. It runs in through their family. I mean, it's in their blood, and it's one of the oldest art forms, traditional art forms in India, dating back to some 100 AD and stuff like that. So it's like centuries old art form. And yet they were struggling. Yet their condition was, they were very poor. Their condition was really bad. And one of the reasons, when we kind of delved deeper, we realized that they were not able to create market linkages. They were not able to capitalize on their art form. They were not able to commercialize their art form. And that's how our program on Varli Art Revival started. And we call it Adi Kala, because it's Adivasi Kala, and that's why we very fondly call it Adi Kala. The initial period was very tough, because just trying to understand what ails Varli art, what ails the artisans and stuff like that. While doing this, actually, I know, as people say, as Rabindranath Tagore very correctly said, that ekla chalo re, as in you start walking alone, कारवा बढ़ता गया और मंजिल पास नजर आई. This is a famous Urdu poetry also, and that's exactly what happened. I was very worried, and that's when my one after the other, some amazingly passionate people started joining my team, and we together started working. One of the first team members who joined me was my very dear friend and my colleague of last 5 years, who has played a pivotal role in bringing Varli art to your doorstep today. And not only Varli art, but other art forms which we are going to talk about is Manjiri Bhagwat. Let me introduce Manjiri Bhagwat here. So Manjiri joined me about 5 years ago when I started the journey, and together, honestly, we have brought the organization to where we are today. So I thought, why not ask Manjari a few questions about, what challenges she's faced. Honestly, while I was around, I was not with her. Everything she was kind of managed to do a lot of things all by herself because I was working on foundation. I had other activities going on, and I used to travel a lot in those days, in the early days of Rao Foundation. And Manjiri was single-handedly managing all the operations, and hats off to her. And a lot of credit goes to her, honestly. So I have in fact asked her these questions, but again, I would like to know from her as to, how were the initial days? What was the struggle all about? What was the challenges all about? Was it easy to communicate with the artisans
So
and
first
things
of
like
all,
that?
I think I would like to thank Sarika and Girish for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to work with Ra Foundation. My team members are very nice, even they are very passionate. So 5.5 years back, when I joined Ra, initially artists used to sell only paintings. They used to only make few wooden articles, and which we used to get from Jawar and sell it in the market. Later on, we realized that only these things people are not going to buy repeatedly. So we need to venture out. We have to find out few more articles which people can buy regularly. So that's how my role started into it. I have done my masters in textiles, and we started exploring few new articles where we can have their painting on it. So we started to make few home decor articles, few patchwork articles where women also used to participate, women in the Bali, Jawar area. So that is how we started working with them. But while working, as Sarika asked, there were a lot of challenges because we expect, we stay in cities and we expect everybody to understand everything what we say. Whereas these tribal people, they are not able to communicate with us exactly the manner we want. So that's how challenges started arising when we started with new products. And I'm like, Sarika was always around when she knew there were a lot of mistakes made because I used to communicate something and the guy used to make something else. So our artists are very sweet, very nice, but what used to land up in their head, I never used to understand. After the article has been made, we used to get, oh, what, he has made such a big mistake, because they didn't have a concept of length, height, and breadth. Though I used to give it an LBH, they never used to understand that. And they used to make an article, something which I wanted a horizontal, they used to make a elongated one. So that's, those mistakes used to happen. So I think while working with them, I learned a lot of things that we can't assume that everybody would understand what we say.
Yeah.
So that's how I started learning how to deal with them. Lot of patience was like, I actually see a difference in my earlier temperament and now how I deal with these people. So
Yeah. So, the interesting thing is that Warli art is a very male dominated art form. And when we started working there, we realized that it's a man's world, kind of. While now there are lots of women who are coming into the profession, but primarily we still find about 99%, males. And needless to say, we had to do something for the women. And that's when Manjari started going there, we saw that women were very good in, they would make godadis, I mean,
yeah,
old
beautiful
saris.
Bhutanese.
Remember, they
Yeah,
would cut them
absolutely.
and make godadis and stuff like that. So we thought, why not start a program around patchwork? And that's when, and Manjari conducted a lot of training program for women on patchwork, on embroidery,
Yes.
uh, and also machine repairing, right?
Yes. So we started to have few classes for these women. So we used to call 30, 40 women per class, and they used to come. We had distributed some stitching kit to them. So they used to come. I used to teach them how to stitch on machine. They also learned how to do embroidery. So me and my team used to teach them at least 5 to 6 stitches. So they learned embroidery, and we also started some products with the godadi. Like godadi work is their original work. So that's how we started making quilts. We started making jackets with the use of that godadi work. And these women had a problem when I used to teach them stitching. They used to have a problem with sewing machine sometimes. So I thought, why not teach them how to clean the machine, how to repair a basic thing, so that they won't stuck in that way. If there is any problem with their machine, they should be able to repair it on their own. Because finding a mechanic over there is not simple. So that was another angle to teach them how to repair a machine. So that I think this 5 years back we started with all this, and I think lot of women are now self-sufficient to do on their own. Like they can repair the machine, they can stitch things, they can sell their products over there, and also they work for us.
So the whole focus was on creating self-sustainable communities. Idea was that we teach them a skill. Instead of giving them fish to eat, teach them how to fish. That was the whole concept. That we give them a skill, we teach them a skill. They will use the skill not only to earn a money by supplying to our organization, but importantly even by say stitching blouses locally, or stitching clothes for local tribal people, for people living in their neighborhood,
Making uniforms.
exactly. So then so that was the whole idea. And as you know that while so when we started all this, and we started the revival program, two very interesting things happened. One is that we realized that we couldn't do a commercial activity in foundation, so we started a affiliate social business called Raha Creative Design, which was a great thing to do, because that is now a separate entity which is a self-sustainable social business. And being a social business, it's very professionally governed, or it is managed, professionally managed. We have we stick to our deadlines, although getting tribal artisans to stick to deadlines is
It's a very difficult task. As she mentioned, initially they never used to understand why and how soon they have to give it. So I used to expect them to do it on time, but initially I realized that they don't have a professional attitude. As like they are not aware what actually happens in a city कि ये तारीख को देना है मैंने देना है. So literally sometimes initially I had a bad time because the order never used to be ready, but later on how I started explaining, then they also realized कि if they do it on time they will get money on time. If we don't finish the order on time we are not going to get the money. So they realized later on. Same way women, I used to we got a big order of 150 quilts from one uh, uh, service apartments, but these ladies were not that prepared. So I was expecting to finish them by some particular date. They didn't finish because there was a wedding in the village. So one wedding and some family could keep occupied these so many women. I was like zapped. How can they not finish it? So I had to explain them it's not going to work unless we do it on time. We will not get a next order. So that is how they have learned day by day. And like now my artists and all support so well. So I don't have to worry. Whenever we take order, we are sure they are going to finish it on time.
Absolutely. So it was a long journey from teaching them. When we would tell them that we are coming to Jawara or we are coming to Mokhada and we want to meet you, they only had 3 time zones: morning, afternoon, and evening. That's it. So they will say, "Are you coming in the morning?" And their morning would be like it will start anytime between 8 a.m. and morning hours would extend up to 12 noon. So it was like like not like us. I mean, we are meeting at 11 o'clock or we are meeting at 10 o'clock. We have some very specific time. That's not the concept there. It's either you meet in the morning, which is any time between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. So from there to bring them to actually 758 local or 758 local, to exact, that was a big gap I think we have overcome. That was a big challenge that we have overcome. And today, in fact, we have some of the artisans or some of the women groups who, in fact, one day prior to the deadline, they will call us and tell us that the work is ready.
Yeah, and actually now I can proudly say we generally give out orders a day prior to whichever date we commit, and completely this credit goes to my artists and women groups who are doing it.
Absolutely. And I think also because ultimately when they start getting money, money also helps them to become more professional, because because we give them money on time. Selling is our responsibility. It is not their responsibility whether the product is going to be sold, is going to get sold or not. That is completely our responsibility. The moment they finish their work, the moment they finish their artwork, the moment they finish a patchwork quilt, they are paid. And then what happens to that product is our headache.
It's our responsibility.
Exactly. So that's why they probably have that trust in us, and I'm glad that they become professional because of this trust, and and we are able to achieve the deadlines.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure more and more artists will join us.
Absolutely.
In fact, every year we have few more artists, and we'll be lucky to make a transformation in their life.
Absolutely. We started a Mumbai urban slum program 2 years ago. Thanks to Shapurji Palunji, we got funding from them, and we started a tailoring school in deep interior slums of Malwani. And today, even those women are ready. I think one of the reasons why we also did that was because logistically our areas are very very difficult. I mean, you take 3.5 hours to reach there. So if there is some urgent order, we had to send a car all the way, and the logistics costs were actually increasing by each passing day. So we thought we also need and also during monsoon the area is completely cut off, and we cannot take any more order. Plus, people have seasonal work there. I mean, they grow rice, they grow ragi, and often they are not available for our work during the monsoon season. So it necessitated that we have a backup option in Mumbai.
We should also have Mumbai women to work with us, and obviously even they are in need, especially during this corona time. Also, we could support their families by making masks. We are making carry bags. We are also getting nice orders of canvas bags from 2-3 organizations. So we are happy that we are also connected with Mumbai women, and thanks to Shapuji that they gave us an opportunity to train them, and we have taught them things which are into market right now. We have not just taught them typical stitching classes mein hota hai ye wo. Whatever is going to sell in the market, that those things we have taught them, and they are a good support for us now.
Absolutely.
To run an organization whole year, not just for the seasonal.
Absolutely. And we celebrate our 10th anniversary, and we hope to continue get your support from us. And as I had said that when you are on okay, I forgot to tell a very important milestone that in our journey, which was getting recognized by none other than Harvard Business School South Asia Institute. We were chosen as the top 50 social enterprises in the handicraft sector, and subsequently we also got a grant of money. We got a grant from Tata Trust to start an art studio. So we have a Varli art studio in Jawhar, and all of you are welcome to come and see our work, meet our artisans, visit our area. We also do tribal tourism, and after now we'll start our 11th year, and we have lots of plans in the 11th year. One of the plan that we have in the 11th year, and we also have new team members on board, and I would love to introduce you to Gauri now. And Gauri has she's a trained designer from JJ School, and she has started working with us now. And Gauri has also lots of plans for 2021 and the coming decade. One of the first, Gauri, why don't you talk about your plans for the coming year?
Good evening. I am very happy to be a part of Raha and RCD because I have been always eagerly and happily volunteering with Raha for last 2-3 years with Kala Ghoda and lot more activities. And when I got opportunity to work with Raha without a single thought, I just said yes and I started. And yes, it is very, I'm excitement every day, super excited that our team, we make, we discuss some lot many things, ye fabric, wo fabric, some good patchwork, Manjari's help, Sarika's encouragement, then all our team, Sonia, Meghna, Manisha, everybody is so cooperative, so helping. And of course the artisans in Jawahar, they also are very supportive. As you heard, you all must have heard from Manjari that initially she had lot many difficulties to talk with them, communicate with them, but thanks to Manjari and Sarika, now they have made me little easy part to communicate, and thanks to WhatsApp. And now I'm really happy that because of all this, because of the technology and the support, we are really connected with the artist. Yes, there are some kind of little bit here and there, but because of this video calls and WhatsApp calls, we are able to communicate with them one on one, and we understand their difficulties, we tell our requirement, and then we come up with one concrete solid, some nice artwork out of it. And yes, I'm very happy. So for this upcoming year, we have lot many things. So we have first and foremost, this year we are concentrating on the treasure of Indian textile. So we have started with khand fabric. So this time we have made khand combos, like one for the Makar Sankranti. We have made khand pouches and khand mask as a combo. It was a very, very, very nice response from everybody, and we are very overwhelmed that people loved it, and still they call us and give their reviews, and we are really happy. That give us really a good encouragement to do lot more things. And yes, we made the torrents, and now we are coming up with the various Indian textiles like silk, kalamkari, ikats, brocades, and you all will be seeing us with definitely different bright and nice combinations, nice varieties with the Varli art and Indian textiles together. And I hope that your support, your love is a main encouragement to us to go much ahead. And that's all. I thank you very much, and I thank Sarika and Girish sir and all the entire Raha team for giving me the opportunity to elaborate my art and skills. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
So thank you so much. I mean, we have already reached over 30,000 tribals. A lot of artisans. We have changed lives for people there, and this journey will, of course, continue unabated. We need your support. We need your cooperation. We need you to stand by us. We need you to be wind beneath our wings. Thank you for being there with us. Thank you so much.
Sorry. With this upcoming Valentine month, we have come up with the wonderful concept that your old jeans we are trying to convert into something new for your loved ones and for yourself, so that even if the jeans or the denim is so pretty close to your heart and you don't want to really throw them off, but yes, we have come up with a concept that we are going to do something nice, excited out of it. You please, I encourage you all, everyone, to please give your old jeans and take something nice for you and your loved ones. Thank you very much.
Bye. See you soon.